Okay, now for the system setup, we're going to hit this config button here, and this system setup can be as complex or easy as you want. There isn't really a super easy way to understand it all, but it does let you do quite a bit to the system here. First thing you should come to is just make sure click on the imaging and then global. I'm using the trackball, the set key here to move around the image. I've zoomed in the camera so you can get a better image of what's going on. So this Cine Loop store is for using the ECG, saying how much time before and after the heart rate cycle do you want it to do. Then there's some other things about your personal preferences here as to what you want to show up on the screen as far as anything about the scan info, image scaling, what you want to show in the title bar for the patient. Applications. Now this is going to be specific for the probe that you have plugged in. Right now I have the 8LRS and it's for the carotid application. These are some, you can create your new application, which is something we showed in earlier setting that you can do it directly from the screen. But these are some basic global parameters for it. Application menu, click the set key. Now, this is what will show up when you click the application key to choose a probe, and it's over here on this left side. There's the application button below the patient key. You can, when you hit that, there's a more button at the bottom. So this is saying when you plug in this linear probe, what applications you want to show up. And I can move these down or up. If I want the carotid to be the top one, I can put it up there and go ahead and click config to get out of there. And then now I'm going to press that application button. It shows 8LRS. And there, carotid showed right up at the top, and the other ones have moved around. This carotid, ultrasound, etc., have moved around. So that's the impact of that button. So we'll go back to the config. All right, so now we can go to the measurement text. This is where you're going to customize, and this is a very, very deep menu. But the key things that you're going to want to do under the measurement menu, you can add your own, you can add a folder. This is how it would show up on the menu when you hit that the measure button. Like it'll say vascular, and as we showed earlier, you have the carotid down here. You can see everything that's in there, and you can make all these adjustments inside that measurement. Now there's also this called M&A categories. So if you don't want certain applications to show up, you can just get rid of them off the screen by just clicking them and checking or unchecking them, and then those won't even appear as an available calculation when you click on that menu up top there. Some advanced features. Basically how you're going to take the measurement when you click on it. So if the default caliper, you want a single point or a dual point, and then these are specific for this category. Like for vascular, we can choose the category, and these global parameters affect every single application that you do. Modify calcs if you want to change how it measures the calcs and what is done in making that. So like this says for the carotid, you want peak systolic and diastolic. So we have that. Proximal right, and then you add your PS and ED on there. Annotations. This is the custom annotation menu that was shown up on this. And then one of the things you'll want to note here is delete on page erase. When I clicked that page erase button before, it erased all the annotations on there. And this is where you can move things around on that menu, delete them, or go back to the factory. And you can add your own right here just by doing that. Click add and then save. Customize will show how they show up in the various columns on there. The report, which is something we'll take a look at later, these are a large number of templates that you can use for your report and what you want to show up as far as reports when you click on the report button. And all of these are way more than the average person would use. These are structured reporting and diagnostic codes, etc., and that's beyond the scope of this training, since very few of you it will affect. Connectivity. We're going to have a separate video on connecting this to the network and to the system, so I'm going to skip this for now for those who aren't looking to set up to a DICOM server. I'm just going to go straight over to the system here. This is something that we took a look at on the first video, just saying you're going to type in your information, make sure your date and time are correct. About, this is going to tell you your software version of the system, and if you have any sort of issues, they may ask you to come to these screens and take a picture or write down what it is that you see on there. Admin, we saw this. This is where you can back up, restore previous settings, so you can save user settings and restore them to this system. You have your user setup here if you want to do multiple users. We talked earlier about auto login as administrator, and the password for that as well. This is another page where any keys, it's going to tell you what's available on your system, any options that are on. So an unlocked patient, you can find a patient and unlock them and make changes. Like, if it was a week ago and you made a mistake on that patient, you actually can go in, unlock that patient, and make changes. You do have to be an administrator in order to do that. Service, this is something that you would need special access to see more of the features on here. You'd need to be a GE administrator, but you can add printers and do some basic stuff there. And that's the basic setup of the GE Vivid Eye.